Hello everybody, welcome back to Sin City Living. Jason here bringing you today's episode. So today's going to be another email. I really only got 2 emails from people over the last month, which is part of the reason I haven't done a whole lot of videos lately. I kind of got tired of shooting the same strategies over and over and over and over again. So I prefer to answer questions or showcase strategies or answer questions about strategies from you guys. This particular email came from Christy, and she was asking about tipping. She was asking about tipping the dealers and how that works, and she had some fairly specific questions, which is pretty cool. It makes it a lot easier for me to know what to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about, she mentions a number of different scenarios. 2 of them really stuck out to me. Piggyback and two-way. The first thing I want to say, two-way, all that means is you were betting for the dealer. That's all two-way means. Two-way just means you're betting for the dealer and yourself. So I mean, if you've got your place bets and then you throw in $1 and say, $1.12 for the dealers, okay, that's just a dealer bet. But if you threw in $6 and said two-way 12, or let me get the 12 two ways, that's for the dealer and for the player. Now you have to be kind of careful, because say on hop bets, if you wanted to hop the 5s, you wouldn't say I want to hop the two-way 5s. Because there's 2 ways for the 5 to roll, so that's what it means. You're hopping the two-way 5s. What you could say is I want to hop the 5s two-way, 5 and 1. What that means is you want to hop the 5s, but you want to do it two-way for yourself and for the dealers, and that it's 5 and 1 is how you want it. 5 for the player, 1 for the dealers. You do need to specify, unless you're just throwing in $2, which you can't do on a two-way bet anyway. You could say I want to hop the 5s two-way and throw in $3, so $2 for the player, $1 for the dealers, because $2 is the minimum bet for two-way 5s. Now, from there you get a couple of interesting things. The piggyback that she is talking about also comes, it kind of goes along with the paid and down. So let's look at hard ways, okay? Let's look at hard ways. Say we're betting the hard 10, and the player says make it two-way. Awesome, thank you very much. Dealers are on the hard 10, we're in the game. That would be paid and down. If the hard 10 rolls, we're going to pay the player $35 because it pays 7 to 1 or 8 for 1. But the dealers, we're going to pay them 8 and down, which means this comes down. We get paid the full $8, 8 and down. That's what paid and down means, and that's the default setting. You will see a lot of casinos or a lot of dealers that when a player throws in a bet two-way, they'll just say, let me get the hard 10 two ways, or let me get the hard 10, and then after we set it up, they throw in another $1 and say make it two-way. You'll see a lot of dealers that will do this. If the player has not specifically said to do that, the dealers are in the wrong. Dealers are in the wrong, and if gaming were ever to be able to see that, they would not be happy. The player has to specifically say piggyback, player control, something along those lines. Piggyback means that it is attached to their bet, hence piggybacked. It's piggybacked on their bet. That also means player control. They both mean the same thing in this instance when it comes to, say, hard ways. They both mean the same thing. Piggyback and player control. And what that means is the player decides what to do with it. So let's say that hard 10 rolls. So we say, hey, pay the player $35, and the player says, press mine up to $10. Cool, we're going to pay the player $30. Now at that point then, we're going to cut out $7 for the dealer bet, and we're going to ask the player, what do you want the dealers to do? He or she might say, press the dealers up to $3. Cool, we now have a $3 bet, and we drop $5 into our tote box. It is up to the player on what they want to do. Now, if they don't specify anything, then there's a pretty solid chance that the dealers are just going to do whatever the player does. So the player just takes their $35, the dealers are just going to take their $7. Their bet stays up, which is nice. The dealers always prefer to stay up. They prefer their bets to stay up. Now, dealer's choice. Dealer's choice is interesting because it actually kind of puts the dealers in a bad spot, especially when the player isn't betting a whole lot. When somebody say, they're on a decent roll, or they just want to tip the dealers, and they throw that in, and they say dealer's choice, put that wherever you want. If the player has no bets, we're kind of stuck because we don't like to bet on some. We don't want to win. The dealers don't want to win if the player is not winning. It's just bad form. So we prefer that our bets are right there with the player, whatever they are betting on. Now, if that player happens to have a couple of place bets, then the dealer might say, you know what, we're going to be on the 8 with you. And that means that, you know, if the player wins if the 8 rolls, player wins, dealer wins. If not, maybe the player is only on the pass line with some odds. Well, in that case, the dealers are probably going to say, you know what, we're right there with you. You win, we win. Because the dealers prefer to be where the player is. Now, she also asked about proper procedure, not make a mistake, or short the dealers. Shorting the dealers, there's almost no way you can get around that unless you were going to do proper bets. She says she sees things like $2 and $3 across for the dealers, and that always confuses her. And I understand why. Because she's looking at that going, well, how does that pay? Honest answer is that pays $3.50, which means the dealers are only getting $3, and then the 50 cents is being kept by the casino. There's no way around that. There's absolutely no way around that. There are a few casinos that will not charge a juice for the dealers on the 4 and 10, which means that would actually pay $2 instead of $1, because technically it pays $1.80. But everything else, it's improper. Yeah, the dealers are getting shorted some change. Honestly, it's not that big a deal, but there you go. So the proper procedure to not make a mistake on it. As long as you're betting for the dealers, you really can't make a mistake. They might ask for more clarification. It also helps if you just leave it up to the player, especially if you are betting. If you only have a pass line bet and you want to bet for the dealers, just put it next to your pass line bet. But if you have place bets and stuff like that, then yeah, absolutely, you can throw $10 into the dealers and say put it wherever you like. They're probably going to match your place bets. Maybe they'll just do the 5 and 9, so they actually get paid the odds. It'll be up to them, but as long as you have place bets, then they're comfortable going out there and doing that, and then they can decide whether or not to keep it proper. Now, pressing dealer tips, that gets iffy too. I will tell you this, dealers absolutely appreciate being on the hard ways and things along those lines, but we much prefer to be up here. For some reason, the center action tends to be where players most like to put the dealers. We prefer to be up here. We prefer to be up here under a player control situation. Now, I've heard players say, oh, that's dealer control. Dealer control technically does not exist. It happens all the time, but you need to specifically say player control. And then you can tell the dealers just do whatever you want, or do what I do, whatever. And then they will press and do whatever makes them comfortable. Generally, if someone gives me $6 and says, put yourself across, cool, I really appreciate that. I'm not going to drop $2 at a time. As long as I have my way, we're going to press up until we are at proper bets. So every time they hit, we're going to keep adding it in until we can get our bets proper. From there, then we'll figure out what we're going to do. So pressing the dealer bets, well, you got to say player control, especially with place bets. So if you are in a situation where you are across and you decide that you want to bet for the dealers, so say you throw them $12. Like put dealers are across. If you just say the dealers are across, then they should set it up this way, and then if something hits, like say a 9, they'll get paid their $2 because they lose the 80 cents, and they are 4 and down. But if you say player control, now they stay up. Now some casinos are going to put it right next to your bets. Others are going to be able to leave them right there. Either one is fine. You say player control, and then you just tell them, press it or keep it. My favorite player, as far as the tipping would go, because he would make it pretty easy. He tipped fairly often, not huge amounts, but tipped fairly often and small. He might start out by just saying, put the dealers across a dollar number, player control. So we know it's going to stay up. But he doesn't just rely on the numbers to press ourselves. He would oftentimes, if he was on a $10 table, he would oftentimes do a $10 field bet, and were it to hit, he would throw $5 and say, press your inside numbers or press your uptown, something along those lines. So it didn't take that many rolls for us to get up to some proper bets. Starting at $1 per number with him, I once had the 4 at $75, and it hit at 50 it had hit, so we dropped quite a bit of money there, almost 75 bucks. It hit at 50, it had hit at 40, it had hit at 25. Because he was pressing us, and he was using, when it hit, we'd have to ask him what he wanted us to do. Like when it was at 25, we were getting paid $49. What do you want us to do? We'd cut out the 49. What do the dealers do? And he'd say, press at the 40, drop the rest. Cool, thank you. And then he did one of his field bets, and I think a 12 rolled, so he got paid 30 bucks. He threw 10 bucks, said make the 450 bucks. And then it hit again, which was awesome. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but you do have to specify player control. Otherwise, technically, they should come down. So Chris, thank you very, very much for the email. I hope this answers your question, and we will catch everybody next time. Thanks for watching. Bye now.